Well, hello everyone. We are starting our Women's with Purpose series. I have all of my favorite women that I have invited to the show. And as you know, and we've been going through these series in helping you live a better life, have a higher life experience. I brought on Brenda because not only has she been a super high energy, very impactful human, just like her presence in general, but her work and the things that she's doing is going to help people just move to a whole nother level. So when we talk in chiropractic a lot about your three stressors, physical, chemical, and emotional, we know a lot of people get stuck on emotional, and sometimes we think, and it very well may be that we need counseling, that we need to see a therapist, that maybe we need medication because we're on this cyclical cycle. And there's other people that are going to use whatever emotional stressor that's there to be able to build them up, to take stress that we've experienced and have it be constructive, help it build you up, because all stress can be destructive. Exercise can be destructive if you're not recovering from it. It can all be traumatic. So our idea is, let's get the most resilient body, let's get the most adaptable body to stress, and let's be able to experience a higher level. And instead of feeling like emotional stress has to tear you down, know that it can build you up. And Brenda's done that very thing in her own life, which is super exciting, and now has an entire, this is your life work now, right? This is what you help people do. So why don't you explain to them, Brenda, maybe just a little bit of your background and how you got into this?
Yeah, sure. I mean, really how I got into this was a 14-year-long crappy marriage. I had been 7 years into the marriage. My ex-husband had an addiction that it was pretty clear he wasn't going to get over. So 7 years in, that began my obsession with human behavior, how people operate, what makes some people have an addiction, and some people can walk away from it overnight. Other people stay addicted and never get out of it the rest of their life. So I studied with multiple different therapists, neuroscientists, that just trying to figure out what makes the brain tick, right? And ultimately what it boils down to is, like, this now has been well over a decade of study where we operate only 5% in our conscious. 95% is our subconscious. And that's like, okay, well, great. What's in our subconscious? Our subconscious is our belief structure. And since we're little, since we're 5, this establishes all our neural pathways in our brain. So Dr. Christy, you and I can walk into a same room. We see it entirely different. And I call that a conditional gap, where you're seeing it through your conditional gap. I'm seeing it through my conditional gap. And I can explain that conditional gap here in a minute. But it's all based off of and formulated that 95% subconscious. We don't even think about it. We think we're making a frontal lobe rational decision or choices and risk and that type of thing. And it's not true. It's all being driven. It's the best example I can give is like Microsoft Word, right? There is all this code in the background that's going on in your computer, but we pop on and we click a button and then we choose a template and we type away. And like, we only see 5% of what's going on. And it's the same thing with our brain and the emotions. And that's where all those emotions and experience sit.
You know, we call that in our profession, Brenda, we call that our innate intelligence. So 300 trillion bits of information reach your brain every second. Yeah. You're consciously aware of 50. And those 50, that's your educated intelligence. So that's like what you're talking about, that conditional gap of like, what's your filter? What's going on? How are you seeing things? And based on, of course, life experience. So
yeah. Yeah, and that conditional gap consists of, it's parental conditioning, right? Where you've got a parent that's like, you go be a dancer, Dr. Christy, but you're like, no, my passion is to be a doctor. But you go be a dancer because you do what mom and dad say, right? Or there's social conditioning. Think for women especially, Victoria's Secret model or Facebook post where you saw your neighbor dragging this screaming kid home, and then 2 hours later she posts this cute little craft they're doing and how she's mom of the year, right? And so there's that parental conditioning, social conditioning, there's religious conditioning, where all the rules, we can go on and on about that. That's pretty self-explanatory. And then there's school conditioning, where, you know, stay in the line, don't color outside the lines, leaves can't be purple. You know what I mean? Where they just condition and condition and condition you. And so what happens is, as we develop, and you know this, by the time we're 5, we've got a belief structure set up in those neural pathways of our brain and that subconscious. Now our lens is looked through everything we've been taught, everything we've been told that we need to be. instead, what I do is I go in, my degree is actually in computer coding, and I giggle because I've never used it, but I just say I needed that because it set me up for recoding the brain, where we go in and we deconstruct that belief system that people have, and then we build it back up based off of the belief system that they desire to have based on who they're created to be, not who everybody else in the world told them to be, but who they're created to be and designed for.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That is so amazing, and exactly what we talk about, where, we put limits on ourselves. We're born limitless. And
right.
Here we are, mothers, fathers, teachers, preachers is what we call them, that are going to kind of put the limits up. And pretty soon we're in these constraints of what we can understand. And, what is on the other side of that is, obviously something usually very beautiful. So how do you get them there?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a process. Like I said, it's a long process. Like I said, we deconstruct that conditional gap, and then we rebuild up. And most of it is just awareness. When I walk people, I've got this belief cycle that I teach, and I can give a real brief overview. You've got and just think of circles in a circle. Okay, like this is just
like gears.
Yep, gears. Yeah. Yep. Yes, and because they all interlock and work together. You can't separate one from the other. And this is the other thing. A lot of times, with counselors or certain people, they really try to separate, or they don't have experience. Kind of like you said, I've been through hell and back a few times, right? And when you come out on the other side and you have that experience under your belt and you are able to be resilient, it gives you a whole different education level that you can't get out of a book, right? But anyway, what we do is we deconstruct this belief pattern where beliefs influence your thoughts. 70 to 80% of our thoughts every day are negative, depending on the study that you look at. 95% of those thoughts are on repeat every single day. Okay, so the first step, first of all, is just people's awareness on what are you thinking, really. And a lot of people think like, oh no, I'm really optimistic, and then I'll go through this limiting belief exercise with them, and they're like, holy crap, I think that. Oh my gosh, I think that. Oh my gosh, I think this. And they've checked off like 80% of the page, and they didn't even think they did, right? This is so on autopilot in the background, we don't even realize it. So people just being aware of their thought process instead of thinking of negative, which we're bent toward, we have a choice to choose the positive and to focus on the positive. And that begins the process. Even that one shift begins the process of rewiring those neural pathways. So once we get to thoughts, oftentimes people move into meaning. They'll make meaning about something, right? And once we make meaning, we've now attached emotion to that, which roots that deeper. Think of a cow rut in your brain where that neural pathway is it's locked. You're not breaking that apart because once you go further and further into this cycle, it's getting reinforced more and more into your neural pathway in your brain. Once you've got those emotions tied to it, now your actions are going to reflect back. You're going to get the actions that you take are going to give you the results that lead you back up to your belief structure that you initially created in your brain. So now you've got this vicious cycle, round and round and round you go. And this is, like I said, I spend 2 days literally on that cycle with my corporate teams alone. So that gives you a super, super high level view of it. But this cycle, we just go round and round. And unless we break that and dismantle that and break it apart, you're stuck. You're stuck in this cow rut, right?
Yep. And, we make, we say something, nerves that fire together, wire together, which is exactly what you're talking about. Yes. And we want to break down old patterns, build up new patterns, allow the body to do that. So tying that emotion to it is really a cool piece of it. A lot of what we've done is a triangle where you say what your beliefs dictate your actions, and then your results, which confirm your beliefs. And we kind of go there. So I really like that, that gear analogy. That's really helpful for people to see and know when they're going to be able to break that cycle or that pattern. I remember I had said to my 15-year-old son one day, and here's my mom talk of geez, imagine if all the lies you told yourself came true, right? Because you're thinking as this negative, all the negative thoughts you're telling yourself of you can just jump to the bottom of a rabbit hole to be oh my gosh, my kid's not here on time. There must have been an accident, or what is this? Oh gosh, they have something going on. What if it's cancer? Right? You just ding, 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 ding. And so I say this to my 15-year-old son, and he's like, that would be awesome. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, wait, what? And he was like, I'd be in the NBA. I would be 6'6". I would he's going on and on about all these things of those are what he's telling himself, you know, the lies. And here we are like, oh man, I'm the worst person ever. And you know, so it's like great to see that in the eyes and the mouths of babes of like, what a great take on life. I should tell myself those, you know, those sorts of things. So
Dr. Christy, we should. There's no reason, like you said it, we are born limitless. We put constraints on ourselves and we do it in our subconscious. That's where that happens. And so when we just, and honestly, the quickest way to dismantle, the easiest way to dismantle this belief pattern is make a decision. Make a decision you're worth that job. Make a decision you're worth that relationship. Make a decision you're a fantastic mom. Because where focus goes, energy flows. And you and I both know, we've talked about this a lot, emotions are energy. And they're either a positive energy or a negative energy. There's a scale. You guys can get online and look. Just look for an emotional scale, vibrational scale, and it shows you. And we know it's common sense, right? We know the happy, joy, love is the highest. Love is the highest. And this is one thing people often don't recognize with religion is religion can invoke a lot of shame and guilt in people. And yet God is love, right? And love is at the highest vibration possible. Shame is at the scale, on the scale, it's 20. It's the lowest. It's the nearest to death. So this shame and guilt, it's not real. That's not who God created you to be. He created you for abundance. He created you to be the glorious piece of artwork that he designed you to be. Yet we feel like we're doing something wrong, stepping into our essence and stepping into who we were created to be. And it's just not the case.
Absolutely. And those jaded filters that you get, you know, in your life, like, you know, your physiology goes there. So we talk about emotions a lot, where you can look at somebody's body because the physical body matches the physiology inside it. It matches the emotional body. So, you know, somebody's excited, somebody's happy, somebody's nervous, someone's sad, someone's depressed. You know, you're going to watch their body language, which is a really easy assessment. You know, just an instant look at somebody.
And on the flip side, okay, there's the law of polarity, right? If you're feeling low, if you're feeling down, put some red lipstick on, put your heels on, and stand up tall and proud. Because of that physiological connection, it will literally shift your mental state as well. So even when we don't feel like it, we can rise ourselves up out of it. A lot of times people think they're hopeless, like they're stuck, like they can't get out of it. And again, that goes back to they're giving their power over to these negative emotions. Take your power back. Stand in your power. Decide to be loving and caring and full of joy and happy. Decide to smile at people in the car, right? It doesn't even matter because we're all so distant right now and people are so hungry for authentic relationship. But I go around and granted, everybody I engage with, if we're eye contact in our car, well, I'm smiling. I'm handing out smiles to everybody, right? Because we can, and it's a choice. We can decide to do that.
That's such a great mindset. I love. See, this is why we have you on. That's such a beautiful thing. And people, they resonate with that energy. If they see the one person, being able to say, I see you, here you are, let me give you a smile. They're gonna, it's gonna also bring up their energy as well to be like, hey, I've noticed, this is me, this is what's going on. And that was one thing, actually, you and I chatted a little bit earlier before we even scheduled this interview, when we were saying what 2020 has done to us as far as we're being distanced, right? People don't have the loyalty factor in the work and the connections that are missing out, and how do you build that up? And what I didn't know, you made a huge shift from, I know you'd focus a lot on divorce and helping people through, but now it's more corporate. So tell us how this works.
Oh yeah. So listen, the content's all the same, right? So what happened is I would do divorce coaching. Divorced people would refer me to non-divorced people. Then it just got viral. I don't know. It organically happened. I've got a lot of corporate and business ownership experience, so it was very natural. I can speak that language. This is emotional intelligence, and if the wheels are falling off of people right now, and what COVID did was hold up a massive mirror to people's face, and they had to deal with that conditional gap. They had to deal with the fact that they were misaligned with who they were created to be and who they were being because of that conditional gap. Okay, so but they felt it, but they didn't have the tools to deal with it. And so my whole mission at this point, because not only that, because you can hit the masses this way, right? Where if businesses don't take ownership over their employees' mental health at this point, the wheels are falling off the people, the wheels will fall off of their business. The train is coming. And if they don't address this and get help for their team, it's going to be a train wreck. So yeah, it's turned into where I do retreats with C-suites and sales teams and executives. And I love it. I love it. You can impact 23 people's lives in 50 people's lives in 2 days, 2.5 days. Whereas, the one-on-one divorce coaching, it's one-on-one, and it takes some time, which it's needed. Divorce needs that, right? But this has been really fun. It's been really exciting to use my corporate and business experience and tie them all together.
I love that about you. And talking about creating it, finding a new identity, which is so needed during this time.
Seriously. So this is the analogy I always give, right? Like there's glass over this picture. Obviously you can see it, right? There's what people are doing walking around right now under that conditional gap is like, if I take black paint and I smear it all over that glass, and then we hold it up and we're like, look, here I am, right? We're presenting this inauthentic human to everybody else. When we start to dismantle this, it's like taking the Windex and clearing off all that black paint. And now the artwork that you were created to be gets to shine. And when you're being in your authentic self, when you're living truly to who you are, that's when you're the best mom, the best friend, the best sister, daughter, corporate worker, C-level executive, chiropractor, all of it. You can only be your best self when you're at your best. When we're walking around with the black paint all over, we're not at our best. That's not what we were created for. So getting to the core of that, and I don't even say reinvent identity. We're getting you back to the root of who you were created to be.
That's so great. So if somebody were listening, because I know we have moms, we've got people that are employed, we have employers, and they're saying, oh my gosh, this information needs to be in the hands of my team, my family, my whatever. What's their best next step to get in contact with you?
Yeah, well, you can find me on LinkedIn. It's Brenda Lee. On Facebook, I've got Facebook business page, or even my website. You can schedule a call if that's something they want to connect and have a conversation about. My website is www.thebrendalee.com, because I argue a little bit with the singer, Brenda Lee. We're kind of fighting for Google title there.
Status.
Right? I'm pretty far behind her, but that's okay. Anyway, so they can get to the website and connect with me there, and we can get scheduled, and yeah, it'd be great.
So are there opportunities? You said 2-day retreats. Are there opportunities that you come in and like you're doing a lunch and learn, you're doing an hour, you're doing half a day? Okay.
Yep, totally.
Cool.
Yeah, we can do anything. And quite frankly, I customize everything based on the company's needs. Every company's different. Their culture's different. Their needs are different. So I go in and we do an audit. We do an assessment on the status of their team, their culture, what's going on, what's happening. And then we make the best decision at that point. I'm not going to put people in a 2-day if they don't need it or want it. Now, I personally believe that hands down, it's the best solution. You get everybody in a room. Your team is forced to get vulnerable and be transparent with each other. And we could sit here for 3 hours on stories where people have reconciled terrible relationships in a room full of men and crying and reconciling and not accepting promotion until they clear this up, because now it's a safe space, and they know it's a safe space in that room where they can get past that kind of stuff, and they can now collaborate. And this is a big deal with sales teams as well. Sales teams are really competitive, and a lot of companies encourage that. I flip that on its head. If you're better at one area, and if that's a weakness for me, but I'm better at something else and it's a weakness for you, you and I should be cross collaborating and sharing clients, so that separately you're going to hit a ceiling here. Collectively, that sales team can elevate on a massive level when you're operating out of everybody's strength. And it's okay to say, this is a weakness for me, but I'm really great at this. I'm going to be the go-to guy for this deal, right? And it just elevates the whole company. Their profitability goes through the roof.
Interdependence, right?
Yeah.
Where you're like, where you can work independently, but you're better together with people's strengths. And
totally. Yeah. And it's just like a baseball team, right? There's a pitcher on the pitcher mound for a reason. There's a first baseman on first base for a reason, right? And that's what I encourage and cultivate within corporate, is that and small business owners and all that kind of stuff, especially when they're ready to take a leap. A lot of small businesses are kind of coming out of, there's two different people. There's two different kind of companies, where some are coming out of, kind of like what we talked about. We have a choice of how we want to look at things, right? Like your son. or where some are coming out like, I'm ready to rock it. I'm going to freaking thrive out of COVID. What do we need to do to elevate our team to the next level, right? And I'm like, those are my jam. Those are my people. I love working with them. They're ready, excited. And then there's other people who are like, holy crap, I see a massive problem. And if we don't fix this now, we're going to be in trouble. And they get it, right? And so there's two different types going on out there right now. And yeah, they're those ones that are ready to elevate and go to the next level. This is the cutting edge that companies shamefully don't put enough emphasis on. It's they're more aware of it now because of COVID, but leading up to this has never been a thing for them.
And you just can't have a sound mind, body. I saw your little 5 pillars where you're talking, you know, spiritually, physically.
Yep.
So all the pieces have to come together. And there's some people that refuse to take that emotional piece into it. They're like, I don't want to address this emotional piece, you know, whether it's pride or vulnerability or whatever that's holding them back from it, to be like, but this could be your breakthrough, right? This could knock a wall down. This could really help elevate everybody around you, so everybody's their best self. So I love this. This is awesome. So you're on Facebook, you're on LinkedIn, you're on Instagram?
Instagram, yep.
Great. So lots of our followers are on there.
I'm a little nervous about that.
You're on TikTok?
I am not yet, but it's in the plan.
Yeah, there's some educational moments on TikTok. I've been seeing them.
Yeah.
I have a 15-year-old.
So. Right.
Yeah, we got to watch that close. But I so appreciate your time, your energy, your work, and the way that you're just our people. You know, we want everyone to live their best life and have their highest life experience. So,
well, hey, I got to give a shout out to you, because you were one of the first people I met when I moved to Idaho several years ago. And I still remember that day. And I was like, where do you find the good people? And you were like, girl, you're looking at it. And you really were instrumental in your office, your culture, the way that you guys run that whole place is just, it operates at a high vibe, and I love it. And it's been instrumental to my career and the people in my life and everything. I've met some of my best friends through your office and your events and all that kind of stuff. So I really value you guys.
It's so great. Just making the world a better place. You know, you're a part of it. So I appreciate you and your time. We will send everybody your link so they can have, you know, your website and follow you on social media, and then also get in contact with you to keep stepping up into their greatness.
Sounds
Thanks,
good.
Brenda.
Yep. All right.
Have a good day.
Okay. Bye.